I should have been gone, but he called me back. And now, I'm here to tell you, do not wait. Do not let the darkness consume you. There is a way out, and it begins with a choice. I saw 5 dreams, 5 signs of death. And each one, I saw them all. Each one, a warning. These aren't just dreams. They're a message from the other side. Would you know what to do if you saw them? Listen now before it's too late.
Welcome, and thank you for joining us today. What you're about to hear might just change your life. This is a testimony of someone who saw the 5 dreams that marked the end of a life, visions that came directly from beyond. As you listen, remember to like this video, leave us a comment letting us know where you're watching from, and subscribe for more powerful revelations. Don't forget to share this with anyone who needs to hear it. Someone's life might depend on it.
My name is Daniel Price. I was born and raised in Wales, a simple man working in construction. For years, I climbed scaffolding, walked steel beams, and trusted my footing. I believed I had control over my life. But one mistake, one slip, proved me wrong. It was a cold morning, no different from any other. The wind howled through the sight, the kind that stings your face and makes your hands feel numb. I stepped onto the scaffolding, my boots pressing against the damp wooden planks. They creaked under my weight, but I ignored it. I had done this 1,000 times before. Then it happened. My boot lost its grip. The world tilted. My arms flailed, grasping at nothing. The air around me felt heavy as I fell. My chest tightened. My heart pounded. I had always thought about death in an abstract way, something distant, something that happened to other people. But in that moment, it was real. It was happening to me. Then, blackness. I should have been gone. I knew I had died. But somehow, I could still see. I could still feel. I wasn't in my body, but I existed. The air around me was thick, suffocating. I couldn't move. I couldn't scream. It was as if I had been swallowed by nothingness. Then, a crack of light. It started as a thin line in the darkness, but it grew, expanding until it consumed everything. It was blinding, pure, but not warm like the sun. It burned, not with fire, but with power. And in that light, I saw someone. Jesus. He stood before me, his presence overwhelming. His eyes, they burned, not with rage, but with sorrow. He looked at me, not as a stranger, but as someone who knew me. Someone who had been watching me my entire life. Daniel, he said, his voice deep and steady, echoing through the emptiness. You were not ready. I felt panic rise in my chest. Not ready? What did he mean? Was I about to be judged? Was I in hell? Then he showed me 5 dreams, 5 warnings. I watched them unfold before my eyes, each one more terrifying than the last. Dreams that people experience but dismiss. Visions that they brush off as nonsense. But they are not nonsense. They are warnings. They are messages from beyond, signs that death is near. And I had ignored them. I was given a second chance. But not everyone gets one. If you've had these dreams, listen closely. Because if you ignore them, you might not wake up. Jesus revealed the first dream that means death, which is seeing yourself naked in your dream. I saw myself standing in a crowd. A sea of faces surrounded me. Strangers, friends, family. But something was wrong. They were all staring. Their eyes locked onto me, unmoving, unblinking. Then, I felt it. A cold rush of air against my skin. My hands reached down, desperate to cover myself. But there was nothing. No clothes, no fabric, nothing to hide behind. I was exposed. Vulnerable. Shame twisted in my stomach like a knife. My body froze, but inside, I was screaming. I tried to move, to run, but my legs wouldn't listen. The crowd pressed in, whispering. Their voices rose, overlapping, swelling into something I couldn't understand. Then, The whispers stopped. One figure stepped forward. His face was hidden in shadow, but I knew, he had been watching me all along. His voice cut through the silence like a blade. "You have nothing left." And then, I fell. The ground beneath me vanished, and I was swallowed by darkness. My body was drenched in sweat. My hands were still shaking. It had felt so real. Too real. But I brushed it off, telling myself it was nothing. But it wasn't. Jesus showed me the truth. This dream is a warning. A sign that something precious has been lost. Your protection, your strength, your very soul. It strips you bare, leaving you exposed to forces you cannot see. And when that happens, death is near. Some ignore it, pushing it aside as meaningless. But those who see themselves naked in their dreams are standing on the edge of something they don't understand. A thin, fragile line separates them from what waits on the other side. Then the second dream that means death was revealed, which is seeing maggots coming out of your body. I felt something moving under my skin. A slow, twisting sensation, like tiny fingers crawling just beneath the surface. I looked down. A small hole had opened on my arm. At first, it was nothing, just a dark speck, barely noticeable. Then, the skin split wider, and they came out. White, wriggling, pulsing. Maggots. They spilled from my flesh, dropping onto the ground, their bodies twisting in a frantic, hungry dance. My breath caught in my throat. I clawed at my arm, trying to stop them, but the more I touched, the more my skin crumbled. My hands, my chest, my legs, rotting, breaking apart, as if I had been dead for days. I tried to scream, but my voice was gone. Then, everything around me shifted. The air turned heavy, pressing against my skin like something unseen was watching. A figure stood in the distance, shrouded in a darkness that swallowed the light. "You are already dead," the voice whispered. And in that moment, I knew. This was not just a dream. This was a warning. When Jesus pulled me out from the vision, he showed me what this meant. Maggots are the sign of the grave, the proof that the body is no longer alive. To see them crawling from your flesh is a message, a final call before the end. Many wake up from this dream, wiping the sweat from their brows, thinking it was just another nightmare. But those who ignore it soon find themselves closer to death than they ever imagined. Some feel the sickness creeping in, weakness, disease, a shadow following them wherever they go. Others don't get a second chance. When the maggots appear, the grave is already waiting. And then, the third dream that means death, which is going missing or people searching for you in your dream. Jesus revealed it to me and I could hear them calling my name. Their voices echoed, twisting through the air like whispers from another world. But I couldn't answer. I was standing right there, watching them, reaching out, but no one saw me. They moved past me, eyes frantic, scanning the empty streets, searching in places I had never been. Some were crying. Others shouted my name into the wind. I screamed, but the sound never left my throat. I ran to my home, my hands shaking as I pounded on the door. My mother stood inside, staring at a photo of me. Her lips moved in silent prayer. Something was wrong. I turned to the mirror by the hallway, expecting to see my reflection. But there was nothing. The space where I should have been was empty. A deep cold spread through my chest. Then, a voice. Low, faint, almost a whisper. "You no longer exist." And suddenly, I understood. Jesus showed me the meaning of this dream. Those who see themselves missing, while the world searches in vain, are seeing the shadow of their own disappearance. The body may still be here, but the spirit is already being pulled away. Some who dream this wake up and feel hollow, as if something inside them has faded. Others find their names slipping from people's lips, their presence becoming smaller, their existence growing dim. And then, one day, they are gone. Their death is sudden, unexpected. A car crash, A quiet illness no one noticed. A tragedy no one saw coming. And when their loved ones search for answers, they remember the dream. The warning. The call they ignored. If you have this dream, know this. The world is already searching for you. And soon, they may never find you again. The fourth dream that means death, which is seeing caskets, cemeteries, or attending burials. I saw myself standing there, surrounded by silence. The kind that feels thick, heavy, like the air itself is mourning. Rows of tombstones stretched into the distance, their cold surfaces worn and cracked. I tried to move, but my feet wouldn't lift. Something unseen held me in place. Then, the funeral procession came. Slow, deliberate. Faces blurred like shadows, their sorrow too deep for words. And then I saw it. The casket. Dark wood. Polished. Perfectly sealed. It was lowered into the earth, swallowed by the waiting grave. My hands trembled. I knew. This wasn't just any burial. This was mine. I turned to the mourners, tried to call out. But they didn't hear me. I wasn't there. Not really. And then, a voice. Not loud, but absolute. This is the shadow of death. It has marked you. When Jesus revealed this to me, I understood the weight of these dreams. Those who see caskets, who walk through cemeteries, who find themselves standing at burials, especially their own, are being warned. Death is watching, waiting. Some wake up feeling unsettled, but they shake it off. Days pass, and they forget. Then, sickness creeps in. A sudden accident. A tragic event no one saw coming. And just like that, the dream becomes real. But there are those who listen. They see the warning for what it is. They seek mercy, they pray, they change. And sometimes, just sometimes, the grave that was waiting remains empty. And now the fifth dream that means death. Seeing blood in your dreams. This time I saw myself standing in a room I didn't recognize. The walls pulsed, breathing, shifting, like something unseen was alive beneath them. Then, a drop. Dark, thick. It spread across the floor, creeping toward me like it had a mind of its own. I turned, and there it was. Blood, dripping from the walls, seeping from my hands, pooling around my feet. I tried to move, but it clung to me, warm and wet. My heart pounded. My breath caught in my throat. I reached out to wipe it away, but the more I touched it, the more it spread. Then came the whispers. Faint, broken voices. They called my name, but they were not of the living. A sudden pain tore through my chest. My vision blurred. The floor cracked beneath me, and I fell, deep, endless, until everything went black. And then, the voice. This is the warning of a life slipping away. Jesus revealed this truth when I stood between life and death. Those who see blood in their dreams, pouring, staining, covering their hands, are being shown what is coming. A wound that won't heal. A betrayal that turns deadly. A life cut short before its time. Some wake up shaking, their hands still tingling as if the blood was real. They ignore it. They move on. And then, without warning, the dream becomes flesh. A sudden accident. A tragedy no one expected. But there are those who understand. They take the warning, they pray, they fight for their days. And sometimes, just sometimes, the blood is washed away before it's too late. I remember standing there, my feet frozen in place, unable to move, unable to speak. Everything around me felt wrong. The air thick, almost suffocating. I could hear my heart, thumping, desperate, echoing in my ears. But no matter how hard I tried to breathe, the air wouldn't come. And then, the voice. It wasn't loud. It wasn't even a shout. It was a whisper, but it seemed to shake the very core of my being. This is your last warning. Suddenly, everything around me shifted. The space seemed to stretch, distort, as if I was being pulled in a direction I couldn't see. A flash, bright, burning, blinding, and then the endless darkness swallowed me whole. I fell, and as I fell, I could hear the faint echoes of voices, distant, crying out, but their words were lost. My body felt cold, my spirit weightless. There, in the void, I saw him, Jesus. His eyes, piercing, knowing. They cut through me like a blade, like he could see everything, even the darkest parts of me. He didn't speak, not at first. He only pointed. Ahead of me was a path, narrow, winding, and shrouded in mist. I could barely see where it led. But I knew it was the path to redemption. And there was no turning back. You've seen the signs. His voice came, soft but firm. The dreams, the warnings. It's not too late, but you must choose. You must choose now. The air pressed against me, heavy, the weight of the truth. You cannot ignore these signs any longer. Your life is not your own. There is a time when the path ends, or when it begins anew. And in that moment, I realized what I had seen. The dreams of blood, caskets, shadows, they weren't just dreams. They were a warning, a last call, a glimpse of a fate I could avoid if I walked the right path. The mist parted, and I took a step forward, the weight lifting from my chest. It wasn't easy, but redemption was waiting. The moment I came back to life, back to reality, it felt like everything I had known was slipping away, just out of reach. I couldn't shake the feeling that something had changed. Something was different. The air felt heavier, the world seemed darker, and in the pit of my stomach, I felt the weight of a warning, a haunting truth. Those dreams, those visions of death, of blood, of endings, they weren't just fleeting thoughts or figments of imagination. They were real. Real in ways that only those who have touched death can truly understand. But there is hope. There is a chance to change, to break free, to fight back against the spirits of destruction that seek to claim us. If you have seen any of these dreams, the ones that wake you in the dead of night, drenched in sweat, heart racing, don't wait another moment. Don't let fear paralyze you. The path is still open. The door is still there. You can still choose a different way. The power is in your hands, right now. Fall to your knees. Call upon Jesus. He is the only one who can break the chains that bind you. The chains of death, the chains of despair, the chains of destruction. There is power in his name, power to restore, power to heal, power to save. I stand here today, a living witness of that power. I should have been gone, but he called me back. And now, I'm here to tell you, do not wait. Do not let the darkness consume you. There is a way out, and it begins with a choice. Let's say a prayer together. Lord Jesus, I come to you with a humble heart, surrendering all that I am. I ask for your mercy, your grace, and your power to break every spirit of death and destruction that seeks to destroy my life. I renounce every lie, every fear, and every chain that binds me. I call upon your name, Jesus, to set me free. I surrender my heart, my soul, and my will to you. I choose life today. I choose your redemption, your healing, and your peace. In your name, I pray. Amen. Don't wait. Don't let another moment pass without making that choice. The path to freedom is right here. Choose life. Choose Jesus.
Now, as we wrap up, let this be a moment of reflection. If you've been moved, don't keep it to yourself. Drop a prayer in the comments below, or share your own testimony of God's power and grace in your life. I encourage you, if you haven't subscribed yet, maybe it's because you're not fully walking with Jesus. It's okay, but ask yourself, why haven't you taken that step? Why not declare your love for him today? He's waiting for you.